Good afternoon, viewers. Welcome back to the Jen and Sean Show, where we go about Melbourne, Victoria, Australia. We go and review the stuff, so you might go and do the stuff. On this week's episode, we go to the Melbourne Royal Show. We also go to our second paint and sip. We also check up on one of our favourite TV shows, Rake. So sit back, enjoy, put a cuppa on, and let's get into it. So I'm your co-host Sean, and I'm joined by my co-host Jen.
Hi.
Jen, Melbourne Show.
Yeah.
We decided for the first time, I've lived in Melbourne for going on 16 years, and I've never been to the Melbourne Show, or really any show, since I lived in dear old Hobart, the Hobart Show down there. So I thought it'd be a good idea to get a taste of Melbourne and what it's about by going along. And we took two teenagers and we thought we'd relive the experience here today and talk about some of the costs involved and also first impressions.
I also wanted to compare it, having been a Queenslander for a very, very long time. Obviously up there we have the Ekka, the Royal Exhibition. It's probably called something else, but it's affectionately known as the Ekka. So I wanted to do a comparison and see what it was like.
No, brilliant. A little bit of background. The Melbourne Show's been running since 1848. It essentially runs late September, early October. It's an annual event where you get Sideshow Alley, livestock, produce, amusement rides, and all sorts of things in the middle as well. Including food and wood shopping and
Dagwood dogs
and showbags. Well, we wanted to find out, is it really worth your while? And obviously Jen can do a comparison as well. So just some numbers for you. This show this year had limited numbers, so they were capped essentially, because in previous shows they were over capacity and it got really busy. Can't really compare what it was like, but I can say there was room to move when we got there. There was plenty of people.
Yep.
Beautiful day for it. So it was a Sunday, a weekend, so it was always going to be busy. But we chose to drive.
Yeah, we did.
Not a really good idea, was it?
That was a bad decision. That was not a good choice. And, if we go again, we will not be driving.
Don't recommend driving. We
No.
spent probably an hour in a queue going about 1 kilometre for that.
It was not fun.
Until we did some stunt driving and we found a car park. So at the very top, I'll just say that it cost 2 adults and 2 students who had a slight concession to get in. Just tickets alone were $147. Parking, once we got there, was $20. And I decided to spring for the food and my own show bags. And that came to roughly $250 on top of that. If you're going, it's not cheap, is it?
No. And considering, I think, too, the food, I don't think there was anything there that was under about $10.
No. Going through my receipts, I think everything was, upwards of $20 every single transaction.
Yeah. And even the drinks. That lemonade stand, I think they were $7.50 for a normal cup, but the bucket that I decided to get was like $15.
Bucket of lemonade, that was actually pretty good value.
Yeah. I was pretty happy with that.
Yeah,
that was good.
So we went not early in the morning, we went midday, so that's probably why we got stuck in traffic. So if you're going to go and take your car, I would recommend going super early, otherwise catch public transport to this event.
Or go the night before and just, stalk the car park at Flemington and sleep there.
Well, you could. You could do that as well. Yeah, no, probably plenty of punters do that as well, because it is in Flemington Racecourse, so you'd probably be in good company there as well. We went along, we got in, we had, first off, some Dagwood dogs. We were pretty keen to do that.
Yeah.
We got amongst it in terms of the livestock. We saw chickens, and what else did we see?
There was all the birds first, then we went over to the dogs.
Dogs.
They were so cute.
The fluffy dogs.
Yeah.
We also caught some wood chopping.
That was good.
Burly, traditional wood chopping where hairy men cut defenceless logs, but,
They were so agile, though. It was pretty impressive.
Very.
How they do it.
It was. We also caught a show when we were sitting in the stands, because there was room to sit in the stands. Do you remember that show?
Oh, it was terrible.
It was piss poor.
What was his name?
I don't know.
He'd been on one of those talent shows, America's Got Talent or Australia's Got Talent or something or other. It was like a pseudo magician-y type balloon dude.
It was so bad.
It was awful. The only reason we wanted to see it was because he was supposed to do this thing in one of those spinning, it's like a big metal
Wheel of death
arm
kind
that's
of
got
thing?
a wheel on the end, and it spins round and round, and then he runs around in that, and then he sets it on fire, and that was the draw card of it. But I don't even know whether they did that because the wind had picked up that day. But what he did do was,
It was impacted by wind, I'm going to say. I think he was meant to do that, but it was pretty windy. And
awful.
So we got his secondary show, if you want to call it that. It was basically a bending balloons and balloon animals.
But he didn't
stuff.
talk. So it was a lot of miming and stuff with it. It was not good.
Look, great if you're 4.
Yeah.
You know, that kept kids entertained.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
everybody
but so
else.
did the people that was it Bluey that was on before that? I
there
think
was
that was
a Bluey
more
show.
entertaining.
Yeah, it was really aimed at kids. So, you know, what I suppose all the teenagers I took, they were keen to get amongst the rides. And I said to them at the top, I'm not paying for your rides. You can pay for your own rides. Because they were
so expensive.
so expensive. Like $20 close to for a ride that would go less than a minute, maybe 2 minutes at most.
Those carny folk make a killing off that.
Killing. They're all armed up with the FPOS machines as well, so they just
no cash there.
Smash the cardless payments.
Oh, except for that guy that overcharged you for the food. He gave you cash back for that.
He had to do that because he charged me like $80 for a gozleme and maybe a donut. So that was fun. So, look, we spent the whole day out there. I still had fun. Like, you know, you got to look at the animals, as I said. We got a coffee. We didn't get exorbitant food. We got a lot of cheese.
We did get a lot of cheese. Had some very, very nice fresh scones from the CWA ladies.
CWA, Country Women's Association.
It's very comforting to know that that's still a thing. I didn't know whether that would have died out by now, but they were definitely going strong.
It was really like getting a hug from your nana.
Yeah. Nice scones too.
Nice scones.
Still hot.
Lovely
very
ladies.
Fresh.
Yep.
And they were doing a roaring trade in there. That was full, that little hall area that they had.
Yeah. No, they were doing really, really well. They treated everyone like their grandchildren.
Yeah.
It was lovely.
Yeah.
But out and about, very busy. Really, we were there for the showbags, weren't we?
Yeah, and just the experience. But yeah, we had a couple of goes at they're not rides. What are they? The ones inside Show Alley where you try and win stuff.
Mugs games?
Yeah. So there was the thing where you had to throw the ball into the old style milk urn, which I'm still saying that was rigged.
Well, you had how many balls?
5.
6? 5.
But they just bounced
And how
off.
many did you get in?
None. No. And I was practically leaning over it so that you could just drop it in, and it still bounced off the edge.
It did not work.
No, that was bad. And then there was the duck one where you had to
scoop it up
the ducks.
with the net. Yeah.
I think there was some smaller prize that we got there, and I think the one that we got, which was a little stuffed shark, was the Laughing Clowns.
It was. So it's really reinforcing a lot of stereotypes about carny games, isn't it? Yeah. Let's say that's true. I was hoping for a little bit more, maybe I'm just a snob, a bit more beer and wine sort of,
It surprised me that there's no
setup.
bar there. Like I know, and first comparison point for the Ekka, so you go in there and you've got the Cattleman's Bar, which is an institution and it's been there forever, but that's something that you look forward to, and they've got, live music will be in there and you can get a feed and get beers and whatever, but it's a whole separate enclosed area that kind of, if you need to escape the whole show stuff, you go in there and have a breather and have a couple of beers.
That's
But
really
they didn't
interesting.
have that.
What else was different?
The layout.
So Melbourne Show was at the Melbourne Showgrounds, which is near Flemington Racecourse.
Right next door, basically.
Essentially. Yeah.
Yeah. I think with the Ekka, so you've got Sideshow Alley, which is very much a separate area. So you sort of come in from the train. It's got like a big entryway to it. You know that you're going straight in there. Then there's the Showbag Pavilion, which is in one of the old buildings there.
Yep.
And then you've got all the other stuff. So the animals are all in the one area. You've got the arena. I didn't see an arena down here. So I didn't see like anything where they have the dog trials and the stunt driving or any of that.
I think there were dog trials. We actually caught some of the dogs going through some of their like time trials, but not sheep dog trials. I think space was a bit of a premium, or we may not have just wandered far enough to find it.
Could have been there. But I think the way that they had the rides spread as well, you had that one area behind.
This is the Melbourne one.
Yeah, where all the cheese and stuff were. And then there was that other section over next to the grandstand that had some down there as well, which we didn't actually go all the way down there.
Yeah, the more thrill rides for the teenagers and that sort of stuff.
The
really
$20 a minute rides.
Yeah. So we stayed well clear of that.
Yeah.
Comparing both, would you say that much the muchness?
Pretty much. It's a lot of the same content. I think it's hard to say. I don't think we saw everything at this one. I think there's probably a few areas that we missed, because I would imagine that they would have the same sort of shows, because you'd think they just travel around and do the whole circuit.
Yeah.
Much of a muchness. I think it was things were more accessible here. You sort of didn't feel like you had to traipse miles away, and there's no big giant hills in the middle of the grounds.
And they separated the kids' rides, like the real young kids' rides out, which was a good idea. So you've got all the pram brigade all parked up in one area, even though they were everywhere. But
that whole kids section, though, that was good. And I think that was good from a family point of view too, because you had that whole big grassy area, like people were laying down picnic rugs and setting themselves up. And
you had room. I think that was the big thing. Again, I haven't been to previous ones, but from what I understand, when they had unlimited people going, it would have been just
it would have been mental.
A mess.
Yeah. It was quite clean.
Yeah, it was actually. The rubbish wasn't piled high or anything like that. Easy to get around.
Yeah.
Look, we did some research on some show bags beforehand, because we were excited about the Birdie Beetle bag and a few other bags that we got just really for the chocolate. But overall, look, would you go back next year?
Yeah, I probably would.
Would you?
Yeah. I think there's stuff that we missed. I feel like I need to give it, more than a one shot to do an accurate assessment.
I wouldn't mind giving the nighttime or the twilight
that would be better.
thing a go, because they have live events at night, like concerts and this sort of stuff, which is part of your price of admission.
I don't think we'd need to do the whole day thing again, because it was a long day.
I wouldn't do the whole day thing again. I'm going to say that now.
No.
I'd like to see a gig, because they actually had some decent acts that were appearing.
Yeah, they did too, actually.
But I probably wouldn't take my teenagers again. They can take themselves for the cost. So, they don't miss you. So, taking a couple of teenagers along, look, I didn't get a lot of change out of $500 for the day. We did buy some stuff, but it was what it was. So, overall, look, thumbs up for the Melbourne Show. If you're in town to go and see it, definitely check it out. It's a pretty cool little event, and you can actually get a big slice of Australia.
Yeah, and some cheese.
Lots of cheese.
It
was good. And that's a wrap on another Jen and Sean show. Please do leave a review. Any comments are welcome, improvements even. Leave us a 5-star review if you'd like to hear more, and leave us some suggestions on things you might want us to review and go and see. You can reach us on Twitter or X, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, pretty much anywhere and everywhere. Thanks again. See you soon.